Hi students, welcome to Year 9 Science and Unit 2, Our Amazing Earth. This is video number 14. We're going to be focusing on the general geography of the Asia Pacific. So in this particular video, we're going to need to discuss the geography of the Pacific region in the context of plate tectonics. So hopefully we'll give you a bit of an opportunity to merge some of what you already have learned from your geography classes with our understanding that we've been building of the plate tectonics theory and how it explains some of the formations on Earth. So this brings us back to the Ring of Fire. We studied this earlier when we were looking at the distribution of volcanoes and earthquakes, and we found that the distribution of both of those very important tectonic events occurs in a very predictable pattern, almost in a ring around the Pacific Ocean. Pacific Ocean itself is part of a very big Pacific plate, and it has several plates that meet it at a number of different boundaries. As a result of that, we're able to analyze some important interactions between two different plates occurring at plate boundaries. And that was important when we were looking at the incidence of earthquakes and volcanoes. But what about trying to look at our own geographic region? So we're in Australia. In fact, we're in New South Wales on the coast, kind of a little bit under where this arrow is sitting here. But you can see that the whole of Australia is sitting right in the middle of a plate. All of this action, all of this ring of fire is happening just a little away from us. It's happening to our east, to our neighbours in New Zealand. Also to the north, through Papua New Guinea, through Indonesian islands just to their west, and also up through the Philippines, past the Japanese islands, and right up to the north where the Aleutian Islands are to the very north. And obviously that's a fair way north of where we are here. So when you're looking at the geography of the Pacific region, and specifically our part of that region, what you want to try and do is focus on what's actually helped to form some of these very important phenomena, some of these very important structures that are part of these different islands, and how we can link them into the theory of plate tectonics. So of course the most important of these is our plate, and if we were trying to analyze our own tectonic activity, we'd probably call it inactive, or at least very low activity. We do have a little bit of earthquake activity from time to time, but they're very rare events, and you can see that our position on the middle of a plate is what contributes to that lack of tectonic activity. So in terms of plate tectonics, we know there's a lot of instability where the plates meet at those plate boundaries, and because Australia is in the center of a plate, our tectonic activity is pretty low. On the other hand, New Zealand, which is over to our east, is sitting kind of right in the middle of this zone of ring of fire. So there is volcanic activity, there is earthquake activity. One of the things that you may be able to have a look at in your next activity is a case study looking at the earthquake 2011 in Christchurch. And that is something, again, we can link back into our study of plate tectonics. You may also have visited the North Island, Rotorua, and the hot springs, the mud springs around there. And also, certainly to our north, and many of the islands stretching away from Australia to the north are very unstable tectonically, and they're sitting on these plates where we would expect there to be islands as a result of particularly plates where there has been convergence. They might be ocean to ocean or ocean to continent. And one of the things that we find happening is where we get particularly ocean and continent, but also ocean together, we get these large subduction zones, and we get volcanic activity either in an island arc, such as there is in the Aleutians, or on the actual continental side. Probably the deepest trench that we know of on Earth is the Marianas Trench. That occurs sort of near Guam, which is kind of just back from the arrow around here. and it is the deepest place that we know of on the Earth's floor. It's a result of subduction, and therefore the islands in behind it, just as we see with the Aleutians, sit in behind that subduction zone and have formed as a result of the movement of one plate underneath another and causing volcanic material to rise at that point. So it's important for you to be able to have a quick look at a map like this, not necessarily this one, but any map that gives you a bit of an idea about where these islands are, about which of them are still tectonically active, certainly volcanically active, but also where we find a much higher incidence of earthquake activity as well, which is just suggesting something about the instability of the plates, or the instability of the region with that plate movement or that plate shifting happening around there. So whilst we are in Australia in a very quiet or an inactive zone, we are surrounded by a huge amount of tectonic activity, and we'll have a look at one of those in particular in a little more detail in the next video. Thanks for watching.